This is the actual fiberglass aft bulkhead assembly that was going to be used with the 42-inch sphere. This would have laid centrally within the sphere diameter. And that was to provide basically support for the mirror assembly, which again was a C-ring assembly. The primary mirror would drop into here and would seat itself against these two surfaces, which are cylindrical. This surface has been tapered back slightly to allow for a clearance for dropping it in and installing it. Now I'm basically going to use the same thing with the reduced size sphere, but I'm going to have to reshape all the parts relating to the interface to the other sphere. I'm not going to have this entire area here. I'm only going to need maybe a ½ inch of this area here, continue on down, and a ½ inch of this, and I'll make a slice. It'll come right straight back. Then I've got to rebuild this area to match the new sphere diameter. But everything here pretty much stays the same. Now it's going to be a 9-point flotation system. This roughly represents a mock-up of that flotation. These are the 9 points to support the mirror. Now one problem I've got is that when I'm installing the mirror through the hole, I'll have to drop this down, and I'll really only have one hand to hold it. It's going to be very difficult. So to drop it down, I don't want it to come down and damage these cells. So I basically built a small part which will be integral in the final assembly. Basically it's going to be, this surface will be deformed up to this area, so when I drop the actual cell in, it will bottom out and hit on that support, and then this will drop down in place. Then that'll provide all the support that I'm going to need. So basically what I'm going to do is install this cell and then take a plaster cast. See, this is the original fiberglass, which is the actual shape that I want. So if I take a plaster cast of that, that'll become a tool that will allow me to come back and take a new fiberglass off of that and replicate this entire surface. But I'm going to have a trim line because I don't need the entire surface. And where this trim line comes back in through here, I'll have to do quite a bit of rework in this area to get it to match the new sphere. But actually I can do it in 2 stages. I can pull a cast off of the part I want to keep intact. I can pull a cast off, and then I can rework the cast. I can build onto that with plaster in order to get the new shape that I want. And that's simply just a matter of finding where the center of the new sphere is. It'll be offset about 4 inches, and just swinging the radius of that. Okay, this has been prepped now. I'm ready to do a plaster splashing here. I've taped in that wooden part. That'll give me a step up in there. I'm going to basically cast and pick up these surfaces here, up to here and up to there. I won't cast that part because I'll build that up to match the new sphere interface. This is ready now to do a plaster splash. I've mixed up a batch of plaster. It's still a little bit soupy, but I've got a lot of flat surfaces. With coating in place. Okay, we've got basically the skim coat in. We'll let this set, and then I'll follow it with another coat of plaster, but with manila hemp or the burlap, and I'll lay it in there. That'll reinforce it. Okay, now we have just completed putting in the burlap reinforcing. So we will now allow this to set. Okay, the plaster has set. Now I've started breaking it loose. Yeah, it lifts up quite good. All the sides have a taped draft angle, so it should lift out fairly clean. Yeah, you can see here, got a good replica. This was the original block. It's taped in here. Okay, so all this surface is pretty good. This is actually a replica of the fiberglass part that would be made. So, I'm sorry, this is a replica of the mirror, and reconstruct the part of the tool out here which has to adapt to the 30-inch sphere, because this was originally done, remember, for the 42-inch sphere. What we're doing now, we've set up the platform into a reasonable solid arrangement. First thing I have to do is find out where the center of the optics, the mirror, is going to be, so I can locate where the center of the sphere will be in order to do the other constructions. I've set this T to approximately the radius of the mirror cell, and since these two sides are cylindrical to that, that's going to be in this vicinity. So I'll construct a couple of work lines. Okay, now I'm going to have a square to this surface. So now I take this basic line, and this will be my working center line. The sphere will be 4 inches to this side, so I can put in at 4 inches. So that's the center line of the sphere. That's the center line of the cell. So I'll make a shape centered on the cell here, and the outside surface will be centered about a sphere with the axis running through there. In order to make the template, a small diagram is laid out in which the centers are located relative to the plaster. Then from that, a small circular template will be cut to exact radius, and I've got to find what the exact radius was. This trigonometric arrangement actually defines what that is, and from this I will make the template. The template's already been cut, piece of plexiglass, which will give me a good clean edge. Now to locate it, I've made this backing strip. This would be the supporting part of the template. And this cutout is to get around the high point on that. From the diagram, I have located, that's going to rest against the plaster, and then I will come 8 1/4 inches to the center of the sphere, and from the center, located on there, I will strike an arc. It's going to show where the surface of the tool wants to come. Now the part I'm going to form is down in here, so I will set up, after I get this set out, I will set this up on that arc, and then that will give me that continuation. That will be the sweeping surface. And now we're ready. I want to put a pin right at the center. Okay, through the hole I've installed a screw, and that will become the center pin. The template is prepared, and I've drilled a small hole at the center line of the sphere. So this will drop onto the pin, and when this sweeps out, this will rotate in this direction to sweep off the surface. Now I'm going to be running into the surface here, so I have marked this area that will have to be chamfered off on both sides. I'll roughly clear this in order to give the room that I need. This part of the plaster has been cut away, and then using the template as a guide, we're clear, so when we make the plaster to build up this portion, it will be under this template. Should be able to see now, set up the template on its center pin. And then this template, when I build up my plaster, I'll have to build up that surface. You can see the amount of clearance we have there. Plaster is just about ready to start setting. I won't have a lot of time, so I'll start by trying to build up the coat. I'll make a pass of the template to see what it's going to be looking like. This gives me a general idea of where I've got to keep building up. Do another pass. If it becomes necessary, I can always let it set up and then come back with a new batch to fill in. And of course, I can always finish the final one with a sanding block to get it spherical, and then just fill in small holes and so forth. While it's still soft, it's easy to clean this stuff off here. I want to get a square cut here, so I'll just go through here and square up some of these. While it's fairly easy. That's good enough.